Hey there everyone, it's Kathy Champion and you're back with me in my craft room and my YouTube channel, Kathy's Random Acts of Stampin'. As many of you know, I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in the beautiful state of North Carolina, and I'm so happy that you decided to join me today. We are going to work on a really fun fall card using a fall theme, and I have this stamp set and I just got this, and it's called a Time of Giving, and we've got some beautiful leaves. We've got the dies here that will cut out our leaves. There's some other leaves up here that you can cut if you need, but I think I'm going to go with these. I'm going to stamp them and we're going to die cut, and we're going to do them in some different colors. So I think that'll be really fun. The other thing that I have is I have my, and I took out the stamps that I want to use. I've got my layering circle dies, and we're going to use these on our card just for some emphasis. So I laid those out, and I took out next to the largest on this set and next to the largest on this one. So the way these come, these will layer in here and these will layer in inside of these. So I have one of the scalloped and one plain. So we're going to use those as well. So I'm going to lay everything over here, and we're going to get started. The first thing before we start, sorry about that little interruption, but I got a phone call from my husband. He usually calls, and I think I wasn't even paying attention to what time it was, but nevertheless, we are back and we're going to work with this beautiful paper. This is called Beauty of the Earth, and it is one of Stampin' Up's new papers in our annual catalog. And this paper is gorgeous. Look at these colors. Oh my word, it is absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. And you've got the blue of the sky, you've got these beautiful trees, you've got greeneries like that, a little bit of fall color in that one, a beautiful wood grain. I mean, that green is gorgeous. It's very fall with that blue. It just looks so peaceful. And then you've got this winter scene, which this is going to be beautiful for making some Christmas cards and things like that. Let me pull that sheet out so you can see the true beauty of it. And it's kind of ombre in the fact that it's lighter at the top and it gets darker as you go down. Love, love, love that. And then the piece that we're working with today, which is this one. So, without any further ado, let me go ahead and pull my card base and show you where we're going to start with this. We're going to start out with a card base, and I'm using the Merlot, and this card base is very simple. It is a half a sheet of cardstock cut in half on the 8.5 inch side, and if I take the other piece and lay it beside of it, you'll see that's a full sheet of cardstock. And all I did is I lined it up in my trimmer on my 8.5 inch side, sliced it down the middle at 4 1/4. Then I turned it like this, well actually like this, and I scored it at, and let me get my notes so I don't tell you incorrectly. I scored it at 4 and then 5 1/8. So at 4 here, 5 1/8. I'm sorry, I told you wrong. 4 1/4 and 5 1/2. So 4 1/4 and 5 1/2. So then all you're going to do is close this down like that, and this is going to form our card. So before we go any further, we're going to put some Stampin' Seal right here on this piece. Let me get myself straight here, and I'm going to use the Stampin' Seal Plus. It is my favorite, and I'm going to put my adhesive right on this piece here, and I'm going to show you how easy this is. Just fold it over once you get your seal on it. And maybe a little bit more right up to the edge of that. And then we're just going to fold that over just like that. Seal it down good. And this is another place when your bone folder is crucial. And I did have it. Maybe I stuck it back up here. Okay, that little thing right there is getting in my way and not allowing me to turn my tools. Okay, here's my bone folder. So I'm just going to iron that out. Y'all know I love to do that. So now we have a card, and this one is going to be in the portrait orientation. My brain went completely blank. Then what you're going to do is you're going to get a piece of your designer series paper, and that's what I have here. And you're going to cut this at 4 inches this way by 5 1/8 this way. And then you're going to turn this in your trimmer. I turned mine like this. And you're going to cut 1 1/8 of an inch off of the top portion of it. Just like that. That's going to give you 2 pieces. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this down right here. And you want to try to get it centered and even. And then you're going to put the other piece down right here. Isn't that pretty? Already that card is beautiful. So let's go ahead and commit. Let's go ahead and put some Stampin' Seal on these pieces. And I need my silicone craft mat. This will save me from getting glue on anything else. And I love it for putting adhesive on my pieces of paper and my cardstock, because it just works so well. And I usually feel my edges to make sure I don't have any hanging over. If I do, I just fold it back. And now we're going to take this card, and I'm going to bring this right about there. And I'm just centering it nice and even. I think we need to come over just a hair more. Just a little bit. And then we'll press that down. And that looks really pretty and just like I wanted it. So now we want to make sure that this matches up so it looks like it wasn't cut. But we're going to pull it down so we have that tiny bit of a border right there. So I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to put some glue on it, or some Stampin' Seal. And then we're going to turn it. And then we'll put one little piece in the middle just for good measure. And then we are going to center this up, and the main thing you want to do here is make sure you get it as straight as you can, because anytime that you're putting 2 mats down, you want everything to line up really nice. And that looks really pretty. Don't you love that? Isn't that gorgeous? All right, the next thing that we need is we need a mat that is 3 1/8 by 3 1/8, and we need another piece that is 3 by 3, and these are going to layer on top of each other. And the colors I chose was Cinnamon Cider because it coordinates so well with that paper, and this is Cajun Craze, which also, now we're going to cut some leaves out so we can decorate our cards. So what I did is I have some scrap pieces of some 3 different 3 or 4 different colors. And we are going to use the stamps. I think I'm going to stamp this right here. So let's just get some ink out and we're going to stamp these and see. I think on this one I'm going to do it with the color of the paper. So this one is Cinnamon Cider. And I think this one we're going to do in Shaded Spruce. I'm going to lay my inks out so I'll know. And then we got Cajun Craze. And this color is, this is Pumpkin Pie. It is. So we have, and let's grab our Pumpkin Pie. So we're going to keep this very fall-like. I think it's going to work out beautifully. So I'm going to bring over my stamp cleaner because I'm going to need to clean in between. And just put a little bit of water on my Simply Chamois. And let's go ahead and start with the Cinnamon Cider on the Cinnamon Cider paper. So I'm just going to ink that up and stamp it. Isn't that pretty? Love it. So I'm going to clean my stamp off and close that one up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pumpkin pie. I'll get that out right in a minute. And I'm going to stamp this up in this top corner because this is a good size scrap and we can use it for something else. Beautiful. And then clean my stamp. And now we got our Cajun Craze. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm coming up in that top corner. Gorgeous. And then the last one is our Shaded Spruce. This is a great way to clean your stamps in between stamping if you're using multiple colors like I just did. Is just bring out that chamois and just kind of go with it. So let's see, is this going to fit on this piece? Maybe I need a little bit bigger piece. About right here. Let's do that top corner right there. Anytime you're stamping, kind of, you know, I got excess ink on that. I'm going to clean it and go again. I think I got a little too zealous with my ink. So this ink pad seemed to be a little more juicy. Yeah, that looks much better. I'm going to come right here in that little top corner. Oh yeah, so pretty. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a bouquet of leaves, which is very easy to do. And I am going to take my scissors and I'm just going to use a larger pair of shears just to cut this off, just like this. And I think I'll do the same thing with this one. And then right here, and then this one is fine. So I'll let me run this across my chamois, get it cleaned up. It's a nice, easy way to do a temporary clean on your stamps when you're busy and you're die cutting and you're doing different things. This just works wonderful. I'm going to lay my little thanks right there before I knock it off my desk. Now I'm going to take the die that's in the Giving Gift dies. It coordinates with the Time of Giving stamp set. And we are going to arrange the die around the image. And you want to make sure that none of the other color is showing. And then all you're going to do is I like to use these little post-it flags to hold my pieces down. And we are going to, I wish we had more than one of these so we could cut more than one. I'm going to cut these out and we'll be right back. Okay everybody, I am back, and what I did is I went ahead and got all of my leaves cut, and I did a little something extra. I thought we needed a little bit of crumb cake in there just to kind of soften up these bold colors of these leaves. So we've got pumpkin pie and Cajun Craze and cinnamon cider and shaded spruce. So I did crumb cake, and I used this stamp out of that same set, the Time of Giving, and that's this one right here. And we have a die for it as well, so I ran it through the die machine and cut them out using that die. And that's in the Giving Gifts die set. And again, that's a bundle, so if you decide you want to pick up both of those, it is in the mini catalog for August through December. So what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and adhere this piece to this piece, and I'm going to do that by using some liquid glue. And then I'm going to hold this piece up. I seem to get better results when I've got tiny borders if I hold it up, and then using the liquid glue gives me a tiny bit of wiggle room. So that looks really good. So I'm going to iron it out. Or as what's known in the craft world as burnishing. And just make sure that that glue is stuck really well. Now we're gonna put the card itself out of our way, and we're gonna center on this piece right here. I'm gonna zoom y'all in just a little bit. And what I want to do with this piece, don't look at my nails, I need to do them. But what we're going to do here is I want to kind of have these going in different directions. Something like this. Once I get these down where I want them, I think I'm going to do these down flat. So I'm going to do just a tiny bit of glue, and I'm not going to glue down the top of them. I'm just going to do the stems. So I'm going to glue that one right there. And to me, this is the fun part of doing your card, is the decorating it. So I'm going to put this one right about here. And maybe this one here and this one here. That looks good. Just like so. Isn't that pretty? Love, love, love this layout. I think it's so gorgeous. Now we can come in with our leaves, and we can strategically put them in at different places. And I think with these I want to pop them up a little bit. That's why I left these kind of up a little bit, so that if we wanted to tuck a leaf under it and pop it, we could do that. So I'm going to actually use my mini dimensionals. And let's grab our Take Your Pick tool. Where is, there it is. And I'm just going to take and pick off. These just come up much easier if I use my Take Your Pick tool. And I have a lot more control over where I'm putting them because they're tiny. And y'all can see my hands are not tiny at all. I've always been a big girl. So I'm going to go ahead and while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and put a few more of these dimensionals on the back of some of these other leaves. And some of them we're going to glue straight down and some we're going to pop up. So, you know, it's just going to, it's all going to depend on where we put them. So let's just go ahead and get some pieces on here. Let's see, maybe this one. And even these bigger leaves, you only need 2 or 3 of these glue dots, but the small ones, you only need 1. All right, let's put our lid back on our glue until we're ready to use it. Move that out of the way, and now we can kind of lay these around where we think we might want them. Something like that. I think I want one of these bigger, maybe the green one. That would be beautiful. Right about there. So I think I'm going to put dimensions on it. That looks good there. Then maybe we'll put this one maybe about here. And then I'm going to glue down some of these other ones just precariously here and there. This one can go right here. And you want it to look kind of messy. You don't want the leaves to look like they're in any certain order. You just want to kind of drop leaves in here and there. I like the way that looks, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to glue that down just like we see it. So let's start right here. I'll tell you what, let's do this one first. And this one we're going to put a tiny bit of glue on the back of it. Just slide that in like that. I'm going to take these backers off. And if you hear a dog snoring, that's my Bella girl. And this is going to turn just a little bit like that. And then I'm going to get this one. And that's going to go right about there. So pretty. And this one's going to go, just tuck it down in there nice and neat. Kind of over and under. Isn't that pretty? I'm really loving this. Now this one I'm going to glue straight down. And then this one. And now we're going to do the bigger one and put him right there in the middle. And you know, we could do a little bit of a collage there. I took that one and just put some glue in it, and it's sticking to that dot right there. And then to break up the two colors between the oranges, I'm going to take this leaf and just tuck it down maybe a little bit over and a little bit under. That'll be glued directly down to the top. Alright, we do have a couple of leaves left, and if you want to, you know, feel free to use them all. It's no biggie. If you wanted to stick some more leaves in here, I'm going to leave it like it is because I'm going to do a little thanks banner across the top. But I think that's so pretty. I think it's going to pair well with this. I'm actually thinking I want to cut a bigger piece of white to put behind this to make it pop. So let me grab a white scrap. And I know that mat was 3 1/8 by 3 1/8, so I'm going to do this at 3 1/4. So we're put that top back on that glue. That's something I need to be in a better habit of closing my glue. 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. And this is just our basic white. I think this little border of white around the edges is really going to make everything pop. Sometimes you just need a little bit of white. And we're going to use a white to stamp our thanks or thankful. And I'm going to stamp that in a Merlot. So let's stamp it right about there. I'm going to line my stamp up to make sure that I get it nice and straight on my block. Whoops, it turned. And Merlot. Very, very pretty. Now we don't have a lot of room up there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down. And the first thing I want to do is make sure that I've got my word even. And it doesn't look like it's quite straight, so we're going to straighten it. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to use my T-ruler. If you don't have one of these, you really need to get you one, because this can help you straighten up lines like nobody's business. So let's move this out of the way for just a moment. And let's lay this down right about here. And I'm going to use a pencil and very faintly draw a line. And then I'm going to come up to the top and very faintly draw a line. Now I know that I want to cut right about on those lines. So now we can bring our trimmer back over And let's turn it this way. And we're going to get those lines lined up. Even if it's not straight in the trimmer, that's okay. We knew that it wouldn't be. And then we're going to turn it this way. And now we have a nice straight piece to go on our card, and that works out so beautifully. Now you can use your scissors if you want to and cut little dovetails on each end. It is totally up to you how you want to work that. Get my trimmer hung back up. Or you can use one of our angle punches. This one right here will cut a nice little dovetail. You just have to be really cautious with getting it centered just right. And once you do, you want to close in on it. Let's see if I can do it with it laying down. It just is really tight, and I don't want to pinch my finger, so I am going to bring it right there. That is not wanting to work for me. Let me try it this way. Yeah, I'm going to have to turn this away from the camera. There we go. That makes a cute little dovetail. I just needed to turn it sideways so that I could get exactly what I wanted. I'm going to do the same thing right here. Only I'm going to need to turn it around. And I got to hold it like this so that I can angle it. But you can see I'm just barely putting that piece into that point. Lining that point up to the middle. And punch. Now we can put this on here just like that. And how cute is that? Once we put this onto the white and the thankful and then put it on here, it is really going to pop. Alrighty. So that's how you can actually clean up a stamp that you stamp crooked. Just take a ruler and draw a faint line under it. Make sure you cut that line away. That way you don't have to worry about having to erase it or anything. And I see none of my lines, so I think I was good and got it all cut away. But if you do see a little bit, just get a good smudge-proof eraser and erase it off. Works great. So now I'm going to lay this piece onto my white. And press. Yeah, I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to burnish it from the back. Looking good. Now these little pieces here I'm going to kind of bend up to let it have a little motion, and this piece we're going to glue straight down. Just like that. Isn't that so pretty? Love it. And then when we pair it on top of this, look how beautiful. We're not done because we're going to put some, I think we're going to do a little bit of linen thread. But we have a surprise for the inside, so we haven't even got to the big surprise yet. So I'm going to open my, oh, I didn't glue that down, did I? Let's go ahead and commit this to the front. Just like this. Okay, so now we can take our linen thread, and what I want to do is I want to bring it all the way up, as far up to the top as I can, and I'm going to wrap it probably about 3 times. So 1, 2, one more time, and 3. Now once you get it wrapped around, you can pull your 2 ends and tighten everything down a little bit, just like that. Nice little look. So I'm going to cut about this much off, and then I'm going to tie a bow, and I'm going to use my reverse tweezers to hold this in place for me. It's like having another set of hands. And if you have a Cricut, you probably have a pair of reverse tweezers, so just pull them out of your stash and use them. And then I'm going to tie just a simple little bow. And the good thing you're going to learn about linen thread, it's very forgiving and it ties really pretty bows. Alrighty, I am back, and when I left, I was actually tying this bow, and what I did is I just pulled it nice and tight, and then I'm going to adjust my loops by pulling on the tails, and I want it to look a little scattered like it is, but we got these long tails, so I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to nip right up. I'll tell you what, let's do this first. To keep this from fraying, I am going to tie just a simple knot just like that. Pull it, and now you've got a piece that's not going to fray because we're going to cut it right just a little bit below that knot. And we're going to do the same thing on this side, just a very simple little knot will keep your piece from fraying. Just like so, and then we're going to clip that one right there, and see how pretty that looks, just kind of scattered. But now if we want our bow to be more precise where we want it, or you know, to stay straight, all you got to do is grab a glue dot, and I'm going to take your pick tool, and I'm going to roll this. I'm just going to roll it over. Just roll it and get it on the end of that take your pick tool, just like that. And then we're going to come up underneath, and I'm going to do it from the underside, and I'm going to stick that bow right about here and into that glue dot and pull my take your pick tool out, and see how that's going to hold that in place. Okay, now I told y'all this was a fun fold card, and some people do call this a fun fold. We're going to go a step above, and we are going to use a piece of Designer Series paper, and I chose this piece of green, and I want this to be what shows on the inside. So what I'm going to do is, and I'd already folded mine, but I'm going to show you again, a 6x6, and all you're going to do is fold it in half burnish it. Use your bone folder and burnish it. Unfold it and fold it in the opposite direction in half and burnish it. And then you're going to fold it this way in a triangle and burnish it. Then you're going to turn it the other way and fold it and burnish it. So this is what you're going to have when you're done. So all you're going to do now is let your pieces come together, your two angles like that. Put it down and press. And you're going to have a little square that is going to fit inside of your card like a diamond. So you're going to put this in just like this, and you're going to make sure you move it over so that your edges are just barely touching the outer edges of your card. Now what you want to do is turn this over, and we're going to put glue all over the back of this. I'm going to use my Stampin' seal, and I'll tell you why. Because this stuff is awesome. So I am going to seal it, and I want to make sure that I'm getting enough of my seal that it's going to hold this down beautifully. So now I'm going to go in, I'll tell you what, let's go in this way. If we center it on this piece, just like that. Once you get it where you know it's right, then you're going to fold this piece over onto it. Press it really good, and then you're going to open it up, and now you're going to put your glue on this side. So again, your Stampin' seal. This, you could use whatever. You could use tear and tape, you could use a tape runner, you could use liquid glue. I like the strength of the Stampin' seal. It is strong adhesive, and you don't have to worry about anything coming apart. Now hold that in place with 2 fingers, and then just fold this down onto it and press. Now you ready to see the reveal? Now you've got a beautiful pop-up card, and we're going to decorate inside of this. It's going to be beautiful. We're going to decorate here and here. So this is where we're going to be able to put some beautiful sentiments and just really doll the card up. So let me go and grab what I need to do the inside. That's where these beautiful circles are going to come in. Let's see. Trying to decide what stamp set I want to use. If I want to go back in with this one's got some Christmas greetings. I'm going to look for a stamp set, and I got an idea which one I want to use. So let me pull that, and we'll decide how we're going to do this. We're going to cut some beautiful pieces to go here and here. I'll be right back. Okay everybody, I am back, and I've got my silicone craft sheet here, but what I did is I went and pulled another die set. I know I'm using a lot of products, but it's nice to learn that you can mix stamps, dies. You don't have to uniform everything to one set. You can pull in and mix and match whatever you like. And I thought this seasonal swirl dies, this is new in our mini catalog, and it pairs with Sparkle of the Season stamp set. Let's see, Sparkle of the Season, and that's this one right here. It pairs with this, but the die set could stand alone as well. And I used this die. This was on the second sheet. I used this one. And what I did is I just went ahead and cut out of that beautiful paper, this right here, I cut this piece out, and then I cut a circle with those circle dies that I showed you, just the basic circle. I cut that out in white. And what I want to do is I want this wreath to be something like this. But I only want these pieces to touch every here and there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try using my liquid glue. Thought about using glue dots, but I'm thinking that this will work better. And I'm just going to come in just put a dot where I want it and hold that down. See how that's sticking? Then I'm going to do the same thing right here. No, Toby. I think my dog just heard a truck go down the road, and every time he hears a truck, he barks. Oh, goodness. He is definitely my little mouth. And then there is a piece that can glue down. We got a piece right here. So now we can turn it because we've got enough holding it that we can pick that up and, oop, that's a lot of glue, and just wipe it away and get you a wipe or something to wipe your fingers on so you don't have glue all over you. And then I think I'm going to put just a tiny bit under here and let that go right there. Now we have this piece pretty well on here, or you know, pretty much like we want it. I'm gonna leave that piece up. I think I like it up. So now what we can do is we can bring this over, and I want to decorate it. I cut a bunch of the little leaves and sprigs from this die set, and it was these pieces right here, this particular leaf and that little sprig, and it made little pieces like this, and I cut it out of the same paper because I wanted it to be, I wanted it to look cohesive, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to just start to glue these down, and you can bring them down and glue them here. You can glue them on the white. I think they look much better if you glue them on the swirl piece itself. Let's bring that silicone craft sheet back in so we don't get glue on the work surface. So I'm going to put that one right there. And we got some leaves. I'm going to put some leaves up here. And maybe this leaf right here. And all you want to do is just come around and fill in wherever you feel that it needs a leaf. And it's so pretty. That was a good place. I'm going to put this sprig right here just to kind of even everything out. This is the beauty of making your own cards and to any type of craft product that you like to make, is the individuality that you can bring to your stuff and really make it yours. You know, decorate the way you like, and it is just so much fun. I think that's going to be enough. Isn't that pretty? So now let's bring our card back over. Move this out of our way. Now we are ready to put our piece onto here. You have to decide where you want your little spriggies to fall. And so just, you know, turn it till you get it like you want it. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and put some glue on this back piece. And then you can sit your piece in however you want it to go. I think I want it like this. just checking to make sure that everything's going to fold up like it should, and it does. Alright, so now we have these two dies, and these two dies are what we're going to use to create a focal point in there. And I'm going to take the Merlot, and I'm going to cut a scallop circle out of there, and I want to use this stamp that says "So Thankful for You." And let's make sure it's going to fit into our circle, and it fits beautifully. And we're going to cut that out of white. I don't think we can get it out of this one. Nope, not quite. But I've got another piece, so we will cut it out of this. And what I'm going to do so that I can cut both of these at the same time, I am going to cut a piece like that. And I'm going to cut a piece like that. I'm going to turn them sideways in my die cut machine, so that way I can go ahead and knock both of these out with one cut. And then we're going to layer this just like that. Isn't that pretty? But let's do our stamping first, and I think I'm going to follow through with that Merlot because it is beautiful ink. And the good thing with our cling stamps, you don't need a mat under them or anything. They've got cushion built in. Oh, so pretty. And that's a gorgeous, gorgeous font. I love, love, love it. And that's going to look so good paired on top of that scallop that's also Merlot. And I can't emphasize this enough. You will not find color coordination as good as Stampin' Up! Anywhere you look. And I've said this so many times. How many times have we done a project and get so frustrated because we can't find that perfect paper to match our designer paper or our pattern paper? So I'm not going to use any dimensionals inside this card because you don't want to add to the bulk. So I am going to use liquid glue. And I'm just going to go around my outer edges. Just like that. And then once you get that on there, you want to make sure you got it nice and even. That looks good. And I'm going to use my favorite method. I'm just going to iron that glue down. Now you're ready to glue this right inside of here. This right here, I'm feeling like it needs something. Something. Not sure what, but it needs something. So I'm going to use some liquid glue on the back of this. And I'm going to center that as best I can. Just like so. Let's see what it looks like when we open it. Okay, you get this card in the mail. Let me zoom y'all out just a little bit. You get this in the mail and it says thankful. And then you open it. Oh, I love it. I really do like that. I was thinking I didn't, but when I open the card, it does give a beautiful little effect. I am going to glue that down. And that little leaf wants to curl up, so we're gonna snip him in half, just for the fun of it. I think I'm going to glue this down. These are always the little details that you can do after you get your card done. See, this little leaf right here is wanting to catch in that fold. So we're just going to clip him off. There he went. And that way we don't have to worry about it infringing in that score line. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue underneath this. And whenever you're using liquid glue, you just want to hold it for a moment. Just give it a moment so it will stick. All right, it looks like we got everything glued down on there. So, what do you think? And if you want to put a little white panel back here on the back, or even one of those scallop circles, you could do that on the back to sign it. If you wanted to, when you made this, you could put this up here and another blank one here so that you'd have a place to sign. But I love that little wreath. You could also put a little triangle on these sides that would give you a place to sign, which is another great idea. But so many different options for this particular style of card, and how pretty would this be to be made as a birthday card? I mean, this card has so many possibilities, and it was fun. It was so much fun to make this card. I hope that you enjoyed the process of watching me make this little pop-up wow card. I love it. I think it's gorgeous. I love the bright colors, the fall colors. Y'all ready for fall? Can you tell I am? So just thank you so much for tuning in with me today, for watching this video. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please think about doing so. It's helping me grow my channel. If you are in need of any of the Stampin' Up! Products that I use today, I'll have a list of everything in the description below along with the order number. Make it really easy. There's a link there where you can go visit my store and you can place your order there online. Everything is very confidential. I do like to have your address, because if you spend $50 or more with me and use my host code, which you'll see that host code pop up earlier, you will get a free gift from me at the beginning of the new month, along with a handmade card from me. So that's my way of saying I appreciate your business and I appreciate you. So again, subscribe, like, share, give me thumbs up everywhere. Just help me grow my channel. It is growing, but I just want to see it blossom and bloom, along with the florals and the leaves and all of the beautiful patterns that I'm able to use here at Kathy's Random Acts of Stamping. Thank you so much. May God bless and keep you. And as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is worthy. Until we craft again, may God bless and keep you safe. You're in my prayers. Bye-bye.